Hacksaw Ridge is directed by Mel Gibson, stars Andrew Garfield as Desmond Doss, a man who enlists into the army as a medic, but he has one rule. He cannot fire a weapon. He doesn't want to kill people. And this is based on a real-life story. And this guy ended up saving a lot of lives during the war. I was pumped out of my mind for this movie, and I'll tell you why. First of all, the trailer was great. Second, Mel Gibson is back as a director. I've always been a big fan of Mel Gibson's directing. I have never seen his first film, The Man Without a Face. I've never seen that one. That's the only film he's directed that I have not seen. I love Braveheart. I think Passion of the Christ is a fine film, but it's so well directed. And Apocalypto, criminally underrated. No one ever talks about it. People should check that out if you haven't seen it. Hacksaw Ridge was one of my most anticipated films for the Oscar season, and I gotta tell you right now, this is one of the best films of the year. It's in my top 10. I adored this film so much. What I loved about this film, first of all, is Mel Gibson's direction. This film is incredibly well directed. The action sequences in this movie, I'll get to them later on, but I'm just going to tell you right now, this is a very well directed film. Not just in terms of the action, but also in terms of the performances and the shots and everything. Like, it's like, wow, Mel Gibson. This is a true filmmaker, and I really do hope he gets a Best Director nomination because he really does make you connect with all these people. Everybody, not just Desmond Doss, but also the drill sergeant, Desmond's wife, Desmond's father, all his fellow soldiers. It's like great stuff, compelling stuff. I love that so much. The way the film is shot, like not just in terms of the action. Like I said, I'll get to the action later on, but like the normal stuff, it feels like a movie that was shot in the 70s, but with a bigger budget and with better equipment. But the best thing about this movie, other than the action sequences, which like I said, I'll get to. I'm sorry I keep teasing it, but I'm so excited to talk about them. The performances in this movie are incredible. Andrew Garfield gives one of the best performances of the year. I think he should get nominated for an Oscar, and I will go on a little by saying this might be the best performance he's ever given. Yeah, this tops The Social Network. I liked him as Spider-Man a lot, even though those films were just but I love him in this movie. His accent was also very good, and you feel for his character very much, because at first when you're like, just fire a weapon, but you don't want him to, because you feel like what he's doing by saving all these people's lives, that's the right thing. He doesn't want to kill anyone else. He doesn't even want to kill the enemy. I also thought Teresa Palmer was fantastic as his wife. I loved their chemistry, and this is probably the best performance she's ever given in her whole career. Her chemistry with Andrew Garfield was beautiful. It was so sweet, so endearing. I love that. Sam Worthington surprised the hell out of me. I'm not a hater of Sam Worthington, but his performance in this movie really surprised the crap out of me, as did Luke Bracey's performance. The biggest surprise, though, is Vince Vaughn. I've always liked Vince Vaughn. I think Vince Vaughn is a very entertaining actor. Unfortunately, he plays the same character in every movie. He works in this movie because he's not only very big and like, oh, as the sergeant and stuff, he's actually really funny. But then he starts getting serious, and it's really great. It's really great, and I honestly think that he should get a Best Supporting Actor nomination for this movie, because the Academy needs to start realizing that comedic actors could do dramatic performances very well, and I thought Vince Vaughn killed it here. But a performance that not a lot of people are talking about in this movie is Hugo Weaving as Desmond's father. I've always been a big fan of Hugo Weaving. Hugo Weaving is like the Kane in the nerd community, because obviously he was in the Matrix series, War of the Rings, the MCU, Transformers, V for Vendetta. He's a Kane, and this is one of my favorite performances he's ever given outside of any movies involving nerdisms, and I loved him in this movie. He was so good. He was an alcoholic. He was a war veteran, and you just feel for him because now his son is going into battle. He doesn't want to see his son die like all of his other comrades from when he was in the war. Okay, let's get the action sequence out of the way. Some of the best I've ever seen. These war sequences are so violent, so terrifying. You feel like you're there with these soldiers in battle. I love these war sequences. I've never felt more engrossed by them since I saw Saving Private Ryan a few years ago. I was engaged. I was on the edge of my seat. The camera flowed very well. It wasn't shaky. Mel Gibson knows how to shoot action, and he does it so well in this movie. If you're a war film fan, this is one of the best war films I think I've ever seen in my life, because of the way it's shot, the way it's directed, the way it's acted, written. The writing too is very good. You want to go to a movie and you want to see great war sequences, and this movie is a great example. Like, if you are in the history class and you need to show some war sequences in films, this is a great example to show. I have only one little flaw with this movie. There's a certain character in this movie that seems to have a lot on him in the beginning of the movie, but then you don't see him or hear about him for the rest of the movie, but then you hear about him in the credits, like titles, and I'm like, I would have wanted to see more of him in the film. Maybe not the entire movie, but I would have wanted to know more about him through the movie, not through text. You know what I'm saying? But overall, I thought Hacksaw Ridge was fantastic. It's one of the best films of the year. You guys need to go everywhere you see this. People who say, oh, I'm not going to go see this movie because Mel Gibson directed, look, you can't always put the artist before the art. You have to see the art, and if you don't like the artist, then whatever. But you always should judge the art. And I know I sound stupid for saying that, but that's the truth. Hacksaw Ridge is a great comeback for Mel Gibson as a filmmaker, and for him in general. The performances are fantastic, as are the incredible war sequences. Go see this movie. You won't regret it. I'm going to give it an A. Guys, tell me what you thought of this movie. If you saw it, thank you so much for watching this review, and I'll see you guys soon.